I think this is one of the first days of the season that I had to layer up before coming outside and coming up to the apothecary. I've got a busy day ahead of me, but before I go out and start working on the farm and getting all dirty, I figured I would come up here because there's something that I need to make. There's been such a chill in the air, and yesterday I went out into town and I started listening to people, and everybody kind of had this little, you know, throat tickle, kind of something like they wanted to cough something up. And so I figured to go ahead and stay ahead of the game, since I know I'm going to be getting some phone calls about, hey, do you have this? Do you have that? This is what I can offer. This is how I run my apothecary. And so today I'm going to show you how to make one of my favorite cough syrups that we can use throughout the season. It's not only going to boost your immune system, it's going to help soothe your throat with that honey, but it's also going to give you the herbs that are going to help get up anything that you may need to get up. That's what I'm hearing, so that's what I'm gonna prepare for. And if you're new here, my name is Kaylee. I'm a beekeeper. I'm also an herbalist. I have a multi-generational homestead here in Virginia where we do quite a bit. You guys are up in the apothecary with me. We are gonna make this up really quick because I know a lot of people could very much benefit from this, and this is what I have to offer. I went ahead and got about two and a half cups of water on the stove right now. I'm gonna gather my herbs here in just a couple of seconds, but I picked up my mail today, and the new Homestead Living magazine came in, which, if you are not familiar with this magazine, I have very much enjoyed not only receiving the magazine and flipping through and finding the different recipes, but I write for them. So if this is a magazine that you may be interested in, I'll put that down in the comments. But as I was flipping through it, one, because my friend Kate, she has a lovely platform where she shares venison for dinner. Well, it's hunting season here. I'm actually getting ready to go out myself and do what I have to do to support my family, but she had a bunch of recipes in here that I'm like, oh my goodness. And I mean, I'm sure you can do this interchangeably without venison if you are not or don't hunt or anything. But as I was flipping through this, I saw that my article is in it, which is the herbal syrups for cold and flu season. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I talk about ginger, I talked about mullein, orange, oregano, reishi, thyme, of course, elderberry. And then in the next page over, you can actually see that I have a few different recipes. This one is a good lung and immune herbal syrup, which calls for elderberry, mullein, hibiscus flowers, because of course the vitamin C, and then I love reishi as well. So today I'm gonna kind of make something that's a little different than this. I also have another one, which is great. This is a good one for definitely boosting your immune system, but also very warming. So thyme, ginger, of course, oregano, dried orange peel. But today I want to do something just a little bit different. And so as I formulate and as I share my recipes, I do want you to know that I very much think of a person in need. And so what that person needs is how I create my blend. So one person in particular that this blend is going to be for is for somebody who's really going to strengthen the lungs and help with your oxygen intake, and then also help with toning, and then of course any bit of soreness. So we may play around with, you know, doing a little bit of that reishi and possibly some orange peel, possibly even doing some, I mean, we can even put some elderberry in it, but maybe a little bit of mullein. And so when I'm formulating, okay, when I'm coming up with the herbs for my recipes, I'm looking at the herbal actions. So what each herb does and how it can help facilitate the overall outcome. And I know that may sound a little bit complicated, but if you are new here, I actually wrote a book, which basically teaches you how to be your own herbalist, how to focus on formulating by looking at yourself and by looking at the foundations. And each herb that I feature within my book has an entire materia medica. So what are the herbal actions? Is it antispasmodic? Is it antimicrobial? Is it carminative? That is how I try to base my recipes, you know, and then take it and put it into the person's specific needs. So that being said, I will also share my book there. I go through each system of the body, but I also have a lot of my recipes that I share. And you don't have to be a beekeeper to enjoy this book. But I really did want to hit home on the actual medicinal properties that honeybees have to offer, between the propolis, between the beeswax, between the honey, and all the different ways that you can incorporate that into your recipes. But let's start grabbing some of these herbs and start getting this in the pot to start doing what it's supposed to do. We're gonna start this recipe with a half a cup of elderberries. Now, when you are making a good syrup that's going to help boost your immune system, I really do love to consider elderberry as the base. I'm also a firm believer that if your syrup does not taste good, and of course, like anything's gonna taste good, especially with honey in it, but if your syrup doesn't taste good, you're not gonna drink it. So elderberry is not only delicious on the palate, but it really does add, it adds so many medicinal properties that are going to be a lovely base for the syrup. I think that it pairs well with reishi, and this has been a little formula that I've been playing around with for a little while, and I'm excited to share it with you guys. But this is some elderberry. I'm gonna do about a half a cup of elderberries. Now, something else that I've very much enjoyed combining into my elderberry syrups recently is reishi mushroom. Now, this is a whole reishi mushroom, but if you had powdered, you can use roughly like a teaspoon and a half. But I have actually sliced reishi mushroom, which I would say this would maybe be equivalent. I could grind it down to get my measurements exact. Now, reishi is not only wonderful for helping your oxygen intake, it's also great for your immune system as well, especially when it comes to balancing. I take reishi in my Be Attuned mushroom blend along with a few of my other favorite mushrooms to give myself that brain boost, that overall energy without the jitter. But for me, that has been my go-to, especially for the adrenal fatigue aspect that I was struggling with, which then also really kind of made my immune system weak because I really was not able to handle, I was struggling. So my Be Attuned mushroom blend has reishi in it, and it's wonderful. Next, I'm gonna add a heap, probably a good heaping amount of mullein, which mullein is a lovely little plant that grows all around here. The leaves are super soft. And what I love about mullein is that you can actually use this as a tea. You can use it as a syrup. You can even smoke it, but it is an expectorant. So if you've got some phlegm, if you've got something going on that you need to kind of like get it up and get it out, mullein is wonderful for that. Now, orange peel, if you had a fresh orange, I would say just peel an orange and put it in the pot. I'm gonna kind of eyeball this because I would say that this is gonna end up being maybe another tablespoon roughly of some orange peel. Let's see if I can do it without tipping it. But orange peel is also packed full of vitamin C. It also adds a little bit of that citrus hint to it, and it's great for toning. Now, since I have something for immune and lung, you know, a little bit of vitamin C, we're gonna kind of get this crud out. I also know that we need to support our cardiovascular system as well. And I do love a little bit of cinnamon. I actually have one cinnamon stick that I'm gonna add to this instead of cinnamon chunks. But man, this is going to be a lovely blend that is not only going to taste good, but it's going to boost that immune system, and it's going to really warm the body up. So we have all of the dried ingredients here, which is a little over, with the cinnamon stick, it ended up being about closer to like the 2 ounce mark. So I just added a little bit more water in here. Also too, it's been so dry. Sometimes it's great to just add a little pot of water to help open up and add some moisture back into the area, which is great for helping with your chest. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this beautiful combination of wonderful herbs into this and start letting it decoct down. Now it's gonna take roughly 30-40 minutes-ish. This is when I go sit down and grab a good book and enjoy the quiet. I might even make a pot of tea. I think I'm due for it. It's cold. I definitely could use a good cup of tea right now. I went ahead and let this simmer and actually cool down. So it simmered for about 40 minutes, roughly. I was able to kind of sit back and read my magazine. I made some notes on a couple of different things that I want to make, which is pretty awesome. There were some cookies in here that I'm like, Melissa K. Norris has her cookie, her cookie swap. Which I really love that. I think that's one thing that I do want to start I want to start talking about, which I love intentional homemade Christmas and gifting things that are made. So yeah, I'm excited. I do a lot of like herbal remedies and things of that nature to kind of like put together and then share it. And that's something you'll probably see that I'll announce pretty soon, which is a bunch of recipes and things of that nature. But for this blend, I did go ahead and let it simmer, and then that means not boiling. So you put all the herbs in and then you just let it simmer and decoct, which is reducing it by half. And then I did let it cool after that because I had a few other things that I had to take care of. But it is still nice and warm, which is great. Now, with herbs and anything that I speak of, you know, this is where you get to do your research, find out, is this herb right for you? I have quite a bit of information in my book about the materia medicas of each different plant and the contraindications, meaning like, hey, this might not be for you. So that being said, it's great for you to do your own research to make sure that you, I feel like I'm gonna make a big mess, to make sure that this plant is right for you. The intention into plant medicine is to do no harm. That's it. And doing your research and finding out and reading about these herbs, not just Googling them, but reading about them, will help you just become a better, stronger herbalist. So I'm going to go ahead and pour. Look at this, didn't make too much of a mess. So we were kind of aiming for like roughly 1 cup now of water, which I believe I hit that pretty much on the head. The next thing that you're gonna do is add in your honey. Now this is definitely starting to get a little bit cold. This is some of our honey that we harvested here from our honeybees. So bonus points if you are a beekeeper that has your own raw honey. But if not, just make sure to go support a local beekeeper. I cannot tell you how much that means to local beekeepers, especially because even myself, like, we're competing with stores that I can't compete with in price. But it takes a lot of work to raise bees and then harvest honey, and then you get something that a store will never carry, and that is honey made from the plants that are growing all around you, because you're supporting that local beekeeper. And so if I can just give any bit of advice, it's to do that. Get local raw honey. The plants that are around you, they have medicinal properties. This is medicinal properties. I mean, I can't tell you how much I love honey, but we're gonna add in roughly 1 cup, and I'm gonna eyeball because, you know, we measure with our heart. But I may have actually done a little bit more than a cup, but that's okay. And so you're gonna stir in your honey when your syrup is nice and warm. You don't wanna do it when it's hot, because this is really gonna help this syrup just, oh my gosh, this is some good stuff. But I try to keep at least 1 bottle of elderberry syrup in everybody's household ongoing. So you'll find that I have been making a little bit more, not just for my household, but for friends or for whomever might need something. That's just how our apothecary works. But once it's all stirred in, I'm just going to go ahead and pour it in a mason jar. The trick is I'm going to keep this out of direct sunlight. I'm using a mason jar because I actually ran out of amber colored bottles, and then I got my mail the other day. So I have to say thank you, Kathy. Kathy sent over a bundle of the amber colored bottles for the apothecary, which I want to say thank you so much for that. They are actually getting washed right now. So for right now, this is going to be fine in this mason jar. And if you don't have amber colored bottles, you could do mason jars. Just keep it out of direct sunlight. I went ahead and wrote down all the ingredients that were in this syrup. So everything that was in it, so I always know before I give it to somebody, just in case if there are some contraindications in that. But the other very important thing to do is to write down the date that you made your syrup. I'm gonna keep this in the refrigerator. I feel like it just does so much better in the refrigerator. But the goal for syrups is to try to use it within a 6-month time period. And like I said, you can add brandy to extend that shelf life. But that's kind of the goal when it comes to syrup. And then of course you can name it anything that you want, which I very much enjoy. As always, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty and learn something old. Bye guys.